I'll wait till we are live.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Whatever Show. Happy Cyber Monday, or as we're calling it, Substack Monday. I'm Lawrence Winterman,
I'm Dana Dubois.
and we are so excited that you are here today. Hey, by the way, we're running a holiday special,
Yeah,
fifty
we are.
percent off on Substack, thanks to the lovely Dana Dubois.
Thanks to me. Did I
Yeah,
make that?
I mean,
Well,
you made it happen.
I did set up the actual code, but really, we have both of us and everyone here to thank for the fact that we're here and doing this. I just clicked a little thing and said discount code. But I'll happily take the praise and the credit. Um, yeah, it's the holiday season. It's expensive. I I every day marvel at how expensive something is. And this weekend I
You
was
mean like a
walking.
new thing every day? Every day you're
Yeah,
agog at how a
yes.
particular thing is. Yeah, I know. It's insane.
Like there's I was shopping in a little neighborhood here in Seattle with my daughter over the weekend. Small Business Saturday is still a thing, and I don't just support Substacks. I also like to buy gifts out in the world. And there's a little shop that sells this tea. I'm going to mispronounce the name, but it looks like marriage. I think it's because it's French, Mirage tea. It's like the oldest tea coming out of Paris, and it's I have had it, but not for many years because it was expensive. I remember a tin of a loose leaf was like $20,
Wow.
and that's a lot of money for tea, right? I was in the shop this weekend. It's now $39.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I'm sorry, it's just breakfast tea. Or you could opt for the bags, and it was 30 bags for $39.
Oh my God.
Tea
Like
bags, Lawrence. Tea.
a almost $2 per bag of tea.
Yeah.
That had better be some really good tea. That
I
that
mean,
should that gotta be some good motherfucking tea is what that's gotta be.
that tea better get you drunk and do your laundry for
Right.
that price, right? Like
Yes.
that's and maybe give you head. I don't know. Like that's just way too sorry, it's Monday
I'm
morning,
glad you
but
said it. I was gonna say.
yeah, I knew you were, and so I just went for it. I
You know, Dana, that kind of talk is the kind of thing that's going to land you on the White House media offenders list, which,
yes. I'm gonna do my Kermit the Frog wave. Put me on the offenders list.
oh no,
Is this
how
a new
dare they
thing?
put out a challenge like that? Like, please God, let me be on the White House media offenders list. Like, no higher badge of honor.
Right. What could, oh wait, look, I see a tail. There's no barking yet, but do you see the little
Oh, I
tail?
see the tail. There she is.
Yeah, good morning.
Kira.
My little dog is awake and we have a fresh bag of treats to start our new week. I feel like that Nature Naws should sponsor the show. Nature
Oh, is
Naws,
that
if you're out there, my dog loves these treats.
right?
We could
The
do this
only
like
thing
the
she'll be quiet for is what are they
yes.
called? Nature
Nature
Naws?
Gnaws.
Nature
They
Naws.
are natural dog chews. Yeah, I we are not getting paid for that sponsorship. This is just they're like little for the little dog. And they keep her busy for there you go, sweetie, for long enough that we get to have a proper conversation. Though I've been calling her Winterman's dog, like Pavlov's dog, because when she hears your voice, I have to tell you something that might break your heart, Lawrence.
Uh-oh.
Yesterday I went live and podcasted alone.
Hmm.
It's the second Sunday in a row I've done this like Dana's derp of the week, which was named on the fly and maybe not my finest work, but I've just
Not your
shared.
finest work. I mean, I
I
love you, but
yeah,
we got to rebrand that.
the derp
Dana's
of the week.
derp of the week.
The derp. Yeah, the derp is just the dude on the dating app being a complete derp. And so I've done it twice. I don't know if I'm going to make it a regular thing or not, but I just had examples that were too funny or too, and in this case of this one, like too dangerous in very nuanced ways. So, anyways, I got on the live, I started talking, and Kira ran in the same way without your voice there. So, I think the trigger is me talking to my phone
Mm.
with this light on or something. I don't know.
Kira, breaking my heart.
I know, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to break your heart on a Monday morning, but
I'm putting her on the White House media offenders list.
good. What does are there like So I want to know, are there like rules and guidelines? Is this a competition
I mean,
or is it just
it's actually
vague?
a lovely looking webpage. They've got a
Okay.
little like animated graphic showing you that the Washington Post is the number one, offender, which, haha,
Really?
Bezos. Yeah, like, sorry, Jeff, all that money you spent, basically rolling over for Trump, and he's still putting you at the top of the offender list. So fuck you, bud.
That's,
Um,
I'm sorry. That's,
they've got a word
my,
cloud. You can
they have
sign
a
up for
word
the
cloud?
email update. Like you can get a weekly
Oh,
email that tells you who the biggest media offenders are. All
oh,
I'm
did you
saying
sign up
is
for it?
probably
Because
all of
that's a good list
Substack.
of who to
Are you
read.
with me? We should all try. We should have our own race. Who can be the first Substack listed on the White House media offenders list?
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
you know,
If we had to bet I feel like maybe the mouthy renegade would get there first because he swears and puts Trump's name with fuck a whole lot.
yeah,
So I
I
feel
think
like if there's a filter, that's going to get caught first. So mouthy renegade, if you're out there,
right.
goals.
I have a feeling it's going to be somebody like Kazim Rashid, because
Yes.
what does
Oh,
Trump hate more than the media?
brown
Muslims
people.
and
Yeah.
people of color. Yeah. So
Yeah. There's a good chance it could be Kazim.
right.
Good point. I
Could be
mean, and
Melissa because, he hates
Melissa
women.
Corrigan,
Right.
good
Yeah.
fire. Women, a woman with an opinion. That's
Yeah.
And Ellie Leonard, of course, she was the one I saw at first, like making the rounds this weekend. So we've got to give credit for Ellie going after Trump's
Yeah.
dead bestie.
I could see it being Nick Perro. I could see it being Cliff Schechter. I could see it being,
I
uh,
mean, are
a
they going to
number
go
of our
big?
friends.
Are they going to go like Aaron Parnas? Sure, because he's huge. So like, are they going to go for the big ones? Or are they going to like try to make people scared or excited
I mean, it's a fucking
by going
webpage.
for
They
the
can put
small
as many
stackers?
names as they want, right?
Right.
Go big, go
But
small.
right. But if they want to like really promote this thing, they're only going to have if they're going to have like the biggest offender of the day.
Right.
Think of the traffic that would send.
I honestly think we should have some kind of award ceremony that, like, every time someone gets on the list, I don't know,
Give them a little
everyone sends them
badge.
congratulations, right? And we send them a badge or a t-shirt or something.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. I
uh,
freaking love it. That should absolutely happen.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna make some t-shirts.
Okay, I think you should. This is reminding me, it's not the same thing, but I think it's similar that I read a story years ago when my kids were small about baking a hate cake. And the idea was that like it's inevitable that your child, probably as a teenager, and especially your daughter, is at some point going to say to you, "I hate you." And that when that happens, instead of being sad or freaked out, you should bake a hate cake to celebrate the moment of
Hmm,
like, "Yay, you got that milestone out of the way. I made a hate cake." And you
right.
just write hate on a cake, and give it to them. And who can be mad when you've baked them a cake? I feel like
That's
this
true.
is
Although I feel like, I don't know, energetically, maybe call it a love cake or something instead.
no, it's taking it
I
full
think
on
if
and
our friend
like,
Char was here, she would say that maybe putting the word hate on a cake, although I don't know, maybe put hate on a cake and eat it. They say that, like, when you're dreaming, one of the most effective things you can do to take control of your dream, if you can indeed take control of your dream, is
yeah,
turn your oppressor into a cake and eat them. So,
really.
yeah,
Oh my God. I think that's the idea. It's that you're taking back the word and the power that the word had
yeah.
by being like, ha 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 ha. I'm so excited you called me that. I made a cake about it. You know, knock on wood. I don't, my kids have never told me they hate me, Lawrence.
Aw, it's
They
coming.
may have thought it at some point.
It's
It's
coming. We
it's
are at that
from
point, Dana, where we should mention who we have on the show today, and then we should bring said person onto the show.
we probably should, especially because I don't have a bio in front of me and I'm going to need him to introduce himself because it's the Daily Whatever Show. We're flying by the seat of our pants some
Oh,
days,
I
and
can.
it's
Okay,
been a
Larry
4 day
Jaffee.
weekend. Larry Jaffee, I know him, so I know I can say I know Larry because he is a music writer and he wrote for Three Imaginary Girls. He has written for Three Imaginary Girls on Medium. He is a music professor, formerly living in they are a professor. I believe they only use they pronouns, not he, they, but let's ask as soon as we bring them on. And they have just expatriated to Iceland. So that's what I do know.
I
What have you got?
what I've got is Larry's working on the coolest project I think I've ever heard in my entire life,
Wait,
which
what?
is
That's a big statement coming
no,
from you.
I mean, but it's legit. Like this is fucking amazing. And Larry, I see you. I will bring you on in 1 second. I just have to say, holy shit, uh, Larry founded a company or co-founded a company in Iceland that is pressing vinyl records out of plants. Uh, and uses geothermal energy to power it. So it is like legit the most carbon neutral, carbon positive, or carbon negative, whatever, however that's supposed to go, um, pressing of vinyl records made out of plants, anywhere. I mean, I can't. Larry, you got to explain it. I'm adding you to the convo. Larry, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lawrence, and thank you, Dana. I just want to. We're not pressing in Iceland yet,
Oh,
but
got
we
it.
did. We did make our first record last year. It was actually pressed in England, made out of the plant-based material.
Nice.
And also, I don't use they pronouns. I am non-binary.
Okay.
I probably should write a specific article about why I don't use it.
Yeah. Why don't you just tell us here, and you can think of it as practice for your story.
No, I just think it's like a sort of a monolith that non-binary people. Non-binary means different things to different non-binary people.
Sure.
Of course.
There's many different variations of it, and my initial reaction was more of like a English speaker that grammatically just didn't make a lot of sense. But then I actually have been convinced that they can be used grammatically correct in different instances. So that doesn't really apply. But so more I think every non-binary person or every person is unique. And it's
Right.
just like they'll group us into a they. Just doesn't feel right to me personally. My favorite King song is "I'm Not Like Everybody Else" by Ray Davies, and I think he basically summed it up. That's going to go on my tombstone, I guess. I don't think I'm going to be buried. I'll probably be cremated, but maybe I'll have a tombstone.
Oh my gosh! Do you feel like you're prepared to sum up and like what does being non-binary mean to you? And should we use he for when we're referring to you?
Actually, what I usually say in this respect is you could call me any pronoun and I'm okay with that. She as well. I mean, I just prefer to be called Larry.
Okay.
Yep.
Fair enough. I do have to jump in and say this is going to make my brain hurt because Lawrence, my best friend, is right here. We've known each other since the 4th grade, and when we were young, Lawrence went by Larry.
Yeah.
But quite emphatically, once he made the switch, you don't. This is not Larry. Was the awkward kid with the glasses who I went to elementary, middle, and high school with.
But
And
this
is
I love this
Lawrence.
because when somebody says Larry and they're addressing me, like it literally, I don't even process it, right? Like, Larry, I'm going to assume from now on that they're talking to you. If someone says Larry to me, I'm going to be like, oh, you must mean Larry Jaffee, our friend who lives in Iceland.
Well, I think my mother was kind of upset that I sort of rebelled against Lawrence. She named me after Laurence Olivier, so who I think spelled it with a U anyway. But
you've got the U in your name?
No. I don't know why she put the W because she should have known better.
Right.
But she told me that once that's why I was. But okay, so when I was in the 1st grade,
Okay.
they would do the roll call, and
Excuse me.
they would say Lawrence Jaffee, and I wouldn't say a word. So after 3 days, they called my mother and they said, "Why isn't your son coming to school?" And she says, "I don't understand. He's been there every single day." So I get home and she says, "Why did the school say that you weren't saying present?" So I said, "Because my name is Larry, not Lawrence." I was like already being a smartass.
Right.
Larry, I already love you, man. Like I vibe with that so hard. It's just in the other direction for me, right?
It
Like
is.
Yeah.
if people say Larry to me, I'm like, I literally, were you talking to me? I literally don't know who you're talking to.
Right.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
But
Larry, how well did we cover you in your bio? Is there anything we omitted?
Well,
Any way you would like to
I mean,
introduce yourself to the folks
yeah,
here
I
on
mean,
the
the
show?
interesting thing is the way that we met Dana was through Medium.
Yes.
And I actually lurked on Medium for 2 or 3 years before I wrote anything. And then I
Really?
came in the idea that I need to write a memoir. And the catalyst was actually discovering that I was non-binary and
Oh,
also asexual. That came later. I didn't realize that until later. Meanwhile, I had a long marriage. I have 2 adult kids. I realized it was like a pretending type of thing.
yeah.
okay.
I was performative, and it was what was expected of me. But I also realized I was also, not being my real self. So I went through a whole questioning phase and all the stuff. But then after being in therapy, I basically concluded within about 6 months of therapy that I am non-binary. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. And actually, I went to a second therapist, and they both, said, from everything you've told us, yes, you're right.
Yeah. Larry, it's so interesting because I'm gay, and the stories of people coming out as non-binary or trans or asexual, like it's all the same stuff, right? Like it's all sort of this quest to figure out who we are and to truly understand ourselves, and then to share that with the public and the people closest to us. And so it's this, I don't know what you found, but for me, people talk about like, oh, what was your coming out like? I'm like, I'm coming out every day. Like every day I feel like I'm meeting somebody and having to sort of frame myself as, not only a gay man, of course, but like it is a piece of who I am, and I can't not acknowledge it, especially in a society that assumes so much about us, right? Like
Right.
people assume, that I'm, a cis straight man all the time, and I have to, say things like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm not married to a woman. I don't have kids. Like I didn't do any of that because I'm gay, and I've known that for a long time." So I really resonate with what you're saying, that, your process was just a little bit later in life.
Well, to Dana's earlier introduction, so what the catalyst was actually when around 2018, I was internally bristled when anyone called me sir or mister. And
Mm.
and I was like, so I sort of delved. No, I always knew ever since adolescence that I was different than my peers,
Yeah.
And they were, for the most part, a lot of these, I wouldn't say my closest friends, but some of them were just like sexist pigs that I drifted away. Like I didn't want to be part of that. And it was actually at my father's funeral where my cousin said to me, I can't believe how much you look like your mother. And I was like, wow, you don't know the half of it. Because I was already thinking about all this stuff.
Yeah.
So that was actually when I decided to write for Medium. Like at that point, I knew I was going to do it, but at the same time, my father just died. I had to clean out his house.
Right.
I need to go into therapy. I need to get the house sold. And then the pandemic happened a couple months later, so there was a lot going on through that year. But, Medium actually has instilled that discipline in me, maybe not to the extent that I applaud both of you to be able to do a daily show, which is amazing. I could never find the time to do it because I just have so many things to do, especially launching a company Thank you for the build-up, Lawrence. I couldn't have said it any better than myself. There is
Larry,
one.
I'm so in
Yeah.
awe of what you're doing with this company, by the way. Obviously, we're going to talk about that in a bit,
Yeah.
but like, oh my God, I read everything that you had on there, like your full pitch deck, everything. I'm in love with the idea. So anyway, yeah, keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. So I mean, as I say, my profile on Medium, I hardly think being non-binary is the most interesting thing about me. But if that allowed me to start writing about things other than what I've usually written about, which is everything from consumer electronics to popular culture to cybersecurity,
And music.
and everything, and music, but and everything in between. I'm sort of like Albert Einstein in the sense that I'm curious about everything. I don't think I have any specific talent. It's just that I have an open mind about everything. I followed actually your podcast. It must have been around June or July when you were basically reading a death sentence to Medium. And
yeah, it was a little earlier because that was we first started at the end of April, but I feel like that we had a Medium in Memoriam Day pretty early.
Yeah.
Because it did feel like it was dying, like people were jumping off in droves.
Right. And I also have been I published for 25 years a tabloid newspaper that was quarterly, not monthly, but about the British TV show called EastEnders, which always had a sort of cult following in the US.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I remember that one. Say the name one more time.
EastEnders.
Oh, EastEnders, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
produced by the BBC. In fact, we had a customer in the Seattle area. I forgot the name of the city, but it was like just south of Seattle. That was a public television station.
Tacoma, maybe? Was it Tacoma?
Tacoma. That was it. Yeah.
That's like our redheaded stepsister who lives to the south. No, I like Tacoma, but anyhow, carry on. Keep going.
Right. It's like the Fort Worth to Dallas or the St. Paul to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And it was actually that experience doing something entrepreneurial. Although prior to that, I had full-time jobs in the media business and publishing. And I think it's similar to the non-binary awakening that I always was meant to be an entrepreneur, that I hated the corporate world.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, I had to pay the mortgage, it was things like that,
Yeah. I think we both know.
Can't relate to that at all.
So
relate to that at all.
And actually, once, my father had passed away, my child support was paid for. My daughter just graduated law school and is now a licensed working attorney. My son's 31. He's managing a baseball facility. I realized if I'm going to make a bold move, like to leave the country, hopefully permanently, not to say I won't come back. I mean, I've said this, if AOC becomes president, okay, I'll come back.
Right.
So,
that's a good stake in the ground. I'm a fan of that one.
Okay.
But it was now or never. I mean, the other thing about, and I sort of apologize, I'm not Gen X. I am on the younger side of the baby boomer.
It's okay. You're welcome.
We'll accept you as one of our own.
Most of my friends are Gen Xers, and related to the music stuff, they don't understand why I never cared about the 80s metal bands like Judas Priest and Metallica and bands like that. And I was like, because Black Sabbath created heavy metal. There's no need. I don't need another heavy metal band. So, I mean, I can be
spoken like a true member of Generation Jones. That's what folks like you were called, right? Generation Jones.
That's right. Yeah. No, I looked that up last night. I didn't know that until last
It's a newer micro-generational term because there is something about the folks on the cusp who have aspects of both and can present kind of by choice in the way they choose to live their lives, to look more like one than the other. And yeah, you feel kind of Gen Xy.
Yeah, well, I think a part of it is because I've thought always different from, like I said, my peers.
Mhm.
And I think the baby boomers really fucked up everything. I mean, after like ending the Vietnam War,
Yeah.
they just want to become yuppies, and
Yeah.
they didn't like take that power and do something positive with it.
Right. Yeah, like Reagan came along and they were all like, "Oh yeah, no, you know what? We're gonna sell out and make a ton of money on Wall Street and be yuppies." Like what?
Right. No, I feel exactly the same way. And in fact, this is all going in my book as well. The great thing about the Iceland book, I mean, the Iceland development, is it basically gave me a different book than I thought I was going to write. I mean, I had already written like 2/3 of it.
Yeah.
And a lot, I've written about, I don't know, over 85 pieces for Medium, of which 2/3 will probably go in the book in some shape or form. But I think what Iceland did was give me a renewed sense of self that, you know, much more forthcoming about, who I am. And here, as my immigration lawyer said, no one really cares about, I mean, one of her first questions was, are you doing this because of Trump? And I said, I came up with the idea for the business 3 years ago.
Right.
I had no idea Trump was going to be back in the White House.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so,
all of us were hoping that wouldn't be the case. Larry, I know it seems a bit backwards, but tell us about thermal beats because I'm so crazy excited about this idea.
okay,
And then we'll talk to you about music and
sure.
your teaching and all that kind of stuff.
And
So
how
it
you
actually,
picked Iceland too. I want to hear about
Right,
why
yeah.
Iceland.
so
Thermal beats first.
okay, so it actually started in September of 2022. I had just come from Germany. One of the things I do is I was the co-founder and conference director of a business-to-business conference called Making Vinyl, about the celebration of the rebirth of record manufacturing throughout the world. So at this event in Germany, I had heard about the plant-based material. And I said to myself, well, this is new. I mean, we've been talking about sustainability for a few years already, but not to the extent of that type of 100% fossil fuel free alternative to PVC, which Greenpeace considers to be the most environmentally harmful plastic. And that's what records are made out of, carcinogenic material.
Yeah.
So then I flew back via Iceland Air, and we had to switch planes in Iceland. But meanwhile, the in-flight entertainment was amazing. I mean, all I really knew from Iceland was Björk, her band would be at the Sugar Cubes and Sigur Rós. And I was going from genre to genre, your rock, alternative pop, classical, jazz. They were all great. And I'm thinking to myself, if there's any place in the world that might need a record factory, it might be Iceland. So I sort of like stuck that in the back of the mind. And the reason for that, the reason I was flying back from Amsterdam was because I had a Fulbright fellowship pending that I turned out to be a finalist. And I was meeting with the two universities that backed my proposal in Eindhoven. And, so I already thought I had a good shot at a 5-month position in the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about that, and the project was about sustainable record production in the Netherlands. All the companies were involved in some way. There were 4 pressing plants there. So I ended up not getting the finalists. So then I found out like in January or February of 2023. So I was a little bummed out, actually. So then I was like, wait a second, what about that Iceland idea I had? So then I started doing some research. And then in June, I was doing another Making Vinyl event. and I was about to moderate a panel, and I'm looking at one of my panelists is from Copenhagen, but he was born in Iceland. And I say to him,
Oh, who's
"Well,
now
what
a
do you think about
co-founder of
doing
the
a
company?
factory in Iceland?" He
Yeah.
goes, "Yeah, I think about it." So then he says, "I already make 1,000 records that headed there because, you know, he had all those connections to the Iceland music community." And then he said, you know, 1 out of 3 musicians are, 1 out of 3 Icelanders are musicians. They're in 5 bands and they all love records. So I'm thinking, that, I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds pretty good.
Right.
I was just going to ask,
What
is
a
that
market.
literal or is that just anecdotal?
Well, yeah,
evidence?
informally, when I'm in with a group of people, I ask, and usually, you know, sometimes it's 2 out of 3. It's kind of interesting, you know. So, you know, they all know musicians. Certainly, they have members of their family who are musicians. You know, so I think per capita, there's more music coming out of here than so. Gummy was the guy from Denmark, and a few months after that, I run into a mutual friend of ours who's English. Ours, I mean, Gummy and mine. And he's built at that point 24 factories around the world. I said, "Kevin, what do you think about doing a factory in Iceland?" He says to me, "You're not going to believe this. When I saw you 4 months ago in Minneapolis, I had to spend 24 hours in a layover in Reykjavik, went to the record shops, went to the nightclubs. I have the same idea you have." So then he says, "And then, by the way, I just became technical director to Evolution Music, which made the presentation about the plant-based material." I didn't even know Kevin at that stage, but apparently he was there at that point too. So, so then I said to him, "Well, Goodmundor, that's his Icelandic proper name, told me," he says, "Oh, you mean Gummy?" And I was like, I didn't know that was his nickname. So I said, the 3 of us really have to figure this out. So then we started meeting almost weekly virtually. And, you know, got to the point where we decided the 3 of us would take a trip to Iceland and like a fact-finding mission to see if the government thought it was a good idea, if the local musicians thought it was good, the record stores, what did everybody think about it? And they sort of rolled out the red carpet. Everyone, you know, gave us just thumbs up. You're like, "When can you start?" So, I mean, it was that germ of an idea that just blossomed, much to our surprise. So after we came back from that trip, we said, "Yeah, we got to go full throttle on this." So we spent the next, you know, year getting the endorsements from Business Iceland and Iceland Music, and I became friendly with the trade commissioner from Iceland, who was now at that point based in New York. And I remember telling him, I met with him right after the election, and I said to him, "Things are going to get very weird. Trust me. I know what I'm talking about." And I don't think he believed me, you know. But on the other hand, he's protected because he said to me, "I'm a diplomat. You know, what are they going to do?" You know. So, I mean, as far as I know, he's still staying in New York. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I mean, 2 of the things that intrigue me most about Thermal Beats is, well, first of all, I fucking love the name because you're using geothermal energy in Iceland to power the plant, and the plant-based material that the vinyl comes from is from beets, right?
Right.
That is so good.
Yeah, I mean, we had some internal discussions. They wanted to spell it BEAT, and I was like, "We got to run with what we're doing."
Absolutely.
And
I'm glad you
I
won
mean,
that one.
but both of those guys make their living with PVC. So there was like a little, you know, shove, like, wait a second, you know, what's the economics of this. How can we make a living? And I said, look, I think the reason why Iceland wants us is because of the green, philosophy that we have and we share with them and the objectives. And I know you're doing this other business and you don't want to mess that up. I understand that. But I think we should aim for the high end of the market. And it's a niche. But meanwhile, we know that Iceland hasn't had a record factory since 1986. And they're starting.
Really?
And they're like, the local musicians love the idea of having records made in Iceland. So, we don't need to make the PVC type, so it took a little struggle and it still continues to some extent, but I think the good news is it looks like we secured our first stake of financing, from an outside source last week, and we still have to finalize the agreement, but it looks pretty positive. And we think once that's in, then the others will follow.
How do you feel like, will you mostly be putting out Icelandic musicians, or do you feel like you'll be recruiting bands and labels from around the world to create vinyl?
I think actually it'll be a mixture, mostly Icelandic initially, but at the same time, we need a couple of A-list type of artists who can tell their major label,
Yes.
that I want our records to come out, and it'd be great if they could put the entire run on it, but at the same time, if it's just a limited edition, we're fine with that too, because it gets
Right. But
the name out there and the concept out there. And
my first thought went to Billie Eilish. I'm like, she would love this. She would love.
right.
I mean,
yeah.
Billie and I, when she calls me, we talk about sustainability stuff all the time. No, but she's vegan. She obviously cares about the impact she's making on the world. She's not afraid to spend her money publicly to support public causes and to call out billionaires who aren't doing the same. I feel like this would be right up her alley. So, and also as someone who, came up in the Seattle music scene, I know a lot of very, like, do you envision your business model working for very small runs for little indie labels like my friends here in Seattle are running?
Well, part of the economic situation that's difficult is the shipping. So, I would love to, produce records for everybody, but because of the tariff situation, especially, it might not make economic sense from their perspective as well as ours. So one of the things that we're working on, but we still have some work to do, is to create as much of a circular economy that we can do as much of it as possible in Iceland. So, for example, one of the things on my to-do list is to find farmers who already have greenhouses that can grow the sugar beets. But the major thing that has to happen after that is to find, there's 2 chemical companies now processing the plant-based material, to see if one of them would consider doing that in Iceland. And what's really good about it is it's geographically equidistant practically between North America and Europe. So, but still, the government, I'm not trying to raise money for that project. I got enough just to get the factory going. So we also, plan on reissuing out of print records.
Yes.
Probably Icelandic for the most part, but there might be a couple that are not, that just seem to make a lot of sense.
And so in the pitch deck, you kind of talk about, for bands who are trying to kind of really leverage their merch, right? That selling these kind of, limited editions or using thermal beats, it might be a really good way for them to kind of appeal to their market. And also, like, the economics on it for them, I guess, with the exception of the shipping costs, could be really good in terms of merch sales. I thought that was really smart, like taking it down to the band level and saying, like, hey, people want vinyl, and here you can give them this amazing plant-based vinyl and boost your merch sales.
Well, it depends on the artist that has the acumen to be business people and are not signed to a major label that has a bad contract that basically prevents them from doing that.
Yeah.
But if they're on the road, they make a really great profit per record.
Yeah.
Like 50% or so, which is, phenomenal, whether the bands can afford to buy upfront that many records. But some pressing plants, I know, that's one of the things that goes back to making vinyl. It's a very cooperative industry.
Yeah.
And there's different models to, keep it sustainable, not so much the material from a green perspective, but sustainable was still in business.
Yeah.
So
So maybe let's go backwards from here, right? Because making vinyl is the name of the. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's the name of the project that you've been working on for a long time.
2017, yeah. Again, that was an idea I came up with actually in 2013, but it took like 4 years for it to come to fruition. And my co-founder,
what I'm hearing, Larry, is solid bet, right? Like I'm gonna bet on Larry Jaffee because Larry's got amazing ideas. They may take a little bit to come to fruition, but they come to fucking fruition.
And
And that is a big deal.
Ahead of the trend, right?
Well, that's exactly, related to Iceland in particular. My kids, heard me talk about Iceland for 3 years now, right? But I think they realized when I am determined to do something, it happens. Eventually, it might take a little while to get there. But it was like similar to, I was talking about EastEnders before, and I was obsessed with Mini Coopers, the car.
Yeah.
And I used to take them to the dealership and like to look at the cars and stuff. And 5 years later, I ended up getting a Mini Cooper. I had a second one too.
Dana's got a Mini.
I have one.
Oh, it's great. Yeah,
I dreamed of having one like since they came out, and when my daughter got her driver's license, I had been driving an older like mini, not a mini, but a smaller SUV, the Nissan Rogue. And so I gave that to her because she learned how to drive on it. And I was like, I don't need to just be driving the mom mobile. I want a mini. And yeah, I have a 2019 Mini Cooper Clubman. It's very cute. I don't love driving it. Mostly because the maps won't show on the screen because it doesn't have Apple Play. And I have a bad sense of direction, but it is cute. And I feel like I'm getting this out of my system, the need to have this like very adorable little car, because they don't come cuter than the Mini Cooper.
I really love driving it because it sort of hugged the road. The way,
Yeah.
I'm not a big car person, but I've had cars ever since I was a teenager, and
yeah,
that was, the best experience. I don't plan on getting a car here though.
Yeah, why would you?
Gas is very expensive. Electric cars do. My neighbor around the corner actually has an electric charging station, but yeah, the roundabouts are really strange here. Like the rules are a little different in terms of who has the right of way and things like that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I already am facing learning Icelandic. It's
I was just going to ask you about that. How's that going?
So, well, actually, I decided I've only been here since September 28th, and I had a lot of stuff to do, like, figuring out the bus system. There are no trains in Iceland. I walk a lot more than I used to. Like usually about 2 miles a day, which is good. What's that?
Are you in Reykjavik?
Yes. No, the Norse gods look down on me because when I was here in April, I did a lecture at the Iceland University of the Arts about the record factory, actually.
Nice.
And I started making inquiries about looking for apartments. I met with my lawyer, and she explained the process, and it might take a couple months before you get approved. They said, Facebook was the best place to find an apartment, which I had taken myself off of Facebook after Trump got elected. And I took myself off of X. I deleted everything, basically. I was like, enough with So the only thing I kept was LinkedIn. And so then I went back on Facebook because people said, well, that's the way to find an apartment. But then somebody else told me there's a website called Igloo that where the serious apartments are, the non-scam type stuff happens.
Right.
Whereas Facebook is known for like, getting people being taken advantage of.
Oh,
In terms of like real estate in Iceland,
I love that it's called Igloo.
So
Your ice home.
all right, so I'm on a Thursday. I'm selling my stuff off. I'm still selling lots and lots of stuff in preparation of the move. And I'm coming in August. So on August 7th, I go on Igloo. I find this apartment looks really good. It's around the same price that I'm spending in New York. And, I tell them, I'm launching a business with some friends in Iceland. We already have government approval for, we registered the company. And all right, so I get like 20 minutes later, I get back a message saying, my father's showing the apartment at Sunday at noon. Can you see it? So I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I go there on Sunday and immediately hit it off with the landlord. And he says to me, I got 70 applications and I don't want to see those 70 people. He goes, as far as I'm concerned, you have it. I know.
Yeah,
So then, but this is one of the interesting things about moving to a place like this. So I had brought with me a $30,000 check, which I figured I would deposit into a bank account in Iceland. The problem was I go to one of the leading banks and they said, we haven't used paper checks in 10 years. We can't do anything with this.
Oh my gosh.
So then I call my New York bank and I plead with the guy and I said, look, I can't lose this apartment.
Right.
I need you to electronically transmit the money. Here's all the stuff from the bank that you need. Okay. First he was a little reluctant. Then he looked into it. He says, all right, I'm going to send you some forms. You need to fill them out. And then, the next day he calls me, he goes, my boss just squashed it. You have to come to the bank and sign the papers in person. He's known about this Iceland business stuff for 2 years already, this guy. I was like, if I lose this apartment because of this, So I go back to the landlord, I explain the situation. And not only that, I didn't even have a place booked for the second week of
you were going to be there.
being here, which was really a stupid thing to do because it's still in the peak season. But I had the car, so I figured I would just drive around and see what happens, and he says, look, I trust you. Like he knew if I could come to Iceland with a $30,000 check, I obviously have money to deal with this type of thing. So I said, so as soon as I get to New York on April 25th, I will be in the bank in the morning. We'll get you the money right away. Went through that day, and then he got paid. So he was happy. And, so he let me stay this whole week, actually. He charged me. Well, I paid for, it's interesting. I paid for the month of, we prorated it. And then I paid for the month of September, although I wasn't here. I was paying rent in two different places.
Right.
Which
happens during transition.
It was worth it to me to secure the apartment. And it's called the neighborhood of the gods. And I think the gods look down on me. And like when people hear the neighborhood that I'm in, they can't believe it. Like
it's a really good spot.
And then that was only. And the other thing is, it's literally less than a 15-minute walk to the closest record store.
Perfect.
And
you have that beautiful mountain.
It's a 10-minute walk to the University of Iceland. I mean, I'm not working there, but here's the funny thing. In June, I gave a speech at Making Vinyl about why I'm getting into this game. after being around it for the last 8 years, and here I'm taking the plunge myself.
Yeah.
And I'm reading this article about, how to keep an audience attentive to your speech. And I'm looking at my PowerPoint and I thought it was like boring. And then something pops into my head. When I was, I think in the 3rd or 4th grade, I did a book report about Leif Erikson.
Wow, you're going way back.
I took a green army helmet. And then I had one of these things that like horrifies me today, right? I covered it in tin foil. Then I fashioned horns out of a paper towel rolls and covered that in tin foil. And then I had like a cape from some other costume, and then I'm a Viking.
Okay, I can see it.
Right. So then I start Googling like for books about Leif Erikson, 1960s, the book cover shows up. Like I remembered the book that I had, So I go on Amazon. There's a book that book for $15. I was like, well, that's worth it for me to like revisit this. All right.
Okay.
So a week later, they write me and they say, oh, we can't find the book. I'm sorry, here we're refunding your money. So there was another copy for $100. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to spend. It's not worth $100 to me. So last week, I go to the University of Iceland, which I can see from my street, right?
Okay.
Go to the library. They have 2 copies of the book there.
Oh.
Nice.
So I brought it back, and they let me take it out. And that's just like remarkable. And the other interesting thing, in the mid-'60s, it was like predestined for me to live here, I think. I'm not that spiritual of a person. I think there's like some higher universe thing going on, but
yeah.
So in the mid-'60s, I remember my mother had a magazine that talked about the birth of an island, and a volcano like exploded from under the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And
I remember
it
that
was
article.
Off of Iceland.
Yeah.
It's called Surtsey. It's like a famous geographical,
Right.
phenomenon.
I absolutely remember that article.
And so I was like, why did it take me 3 years to remember this stuff? Why didn't I think of the first time I came, like I was actually just switching planes on Iceland? Why didn't I think of it then?
Yeah.
But my mind, and the funny thing is, I never in my life did a lot of drugs or, had drinking problem or anything like that. But my brain just like is delayed in terms of like processing things, I guess, to some extent.
It can take a while to form those kind of neural pathways, but it sounds like maybe this was fated for you, and I love that. We also we're 5 minutes from the top of the hour. We have a question we ask all our guests when they come in for their first visit, and I know you are going to kill it with your answers. So
I'm so excited for this.
I definitely want to pause and ask you this question so we have time to discuss. Hard-hitting question, brace yourself. What is, in your opinion, the most Gen X song of all time? And we know you're Generation Jones. You're on the border.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I thought you froze there for a second.
No, actually, and I've been listening to them more and more, and I liked the song as soon as it came out. Smashing Pumpkins, 1979.
Nice.
That whole album, Melancholy, is just,
Yep.
for a double record, is just so solid. And I missed them, them. Smashing Pumpkins played in Reykjavik in July. And,
so you just missed it.
Yeah. So I did get to see a great concert at the big concert hall called Harper, which was an Icelandic band called Moon that was recommended.
Oh, I know Moon.
Yeah, and I really didn't know anything of their music, but I read some good things about it, and it was really one of the best concerts I've ever been to in my life. I mean, the way that they entered the stage, the lighting and the music slowly built, and it's really a combination of like all the stuff I love, like folk rock and traditional type sounds, and Got into some alternative jazzy type stuff at places, and yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Larry,
I
you're
don't know if
getting
you know
so
this.
much love in the chat for your pick. So many
Oh,
people.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. It's
And I
that
really
was a
love Billy.
very. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I love Billy Corgan's podcast. I've been watching some of the people he's had on. He's a really good interviewer.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'd kind of
So
written him off as a failed Gen X. Like they either die or they become Republican conservative assholes. And I thought Billy Corgan was kind of in that camp these days, but no, his podcast is
he
okay.
doesn't really get into politics. He really talks about the
Yes.
people
That's what
themselves.
Natasha's saying. Billy Corgan is a Trumper. I feel like he is, but I don't want to quite say it out
I
loud.
never really got that sense at all. I don't
Okay.
know. I'm going to look it up now. I didn't know that.
Sometimes it like something gets in your head and it becomes truth, and then you're like, did I read that someplace? I'm pretty sure that if not a Trumper, he at least has some questionable views. But the fact that you're speaking well of his podcast makes me want to give it another look.
I mean, I could pick an alternative track too. I mean, the
No.
Smiths, How Soon Is Now?
Of course. How
Right.
Soon Is Now is picked like a true mid.
No, Morrissey
Gen
has his
Xer
political
and-
problems too.
Right.
Yeah.
1979, that's a pick of someone born in like 1975, 76. That's like a late Gen X pick. But
Okay.
we can all be whatever age we want in when it comes to our musical picks. And I do want to say, I don't know if you know this, but there is a pretty there is a tie, a Seattle to Reykjavik musical tie. Do you know KEXP, the radio station?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's here in Seattle. It's right down the street, basically. And they always have a presence at Iceland Airwaves, and they sometimes they have a show here in Seattle where they sponsor Icelandic bands to come perform. So I think I know a few more Icelandic bands, maybe not even by name, but I've heard more Icelandic bands than most Americans. And I love to travel for music, and I have a life goal of getting to Iceland Airwaves, which is in November, I think. Is that right? Early November?
Yeah. This year it was November 5th to the 8th or something like that.
Have you ever been?
Yeah, well, this was the first time, and it's just like overwhelming. There's just so much stuff going on at the same time.
Oh my
I
gosh.
mean,
Okay.
literally, like there's like 10 concerts going on at the exact same time.
Sure, it's a huge festival.
Yeah, so I actually, the only big concert I went to was Moon, but all the record stores had free, events, and I went to about half dozen of those. And there's 2 local bands that I got actually to meet some of the members of the band, and they were really cool.
Amazing. So is that worth a trip over the North Pole? Jason's asking in the chat or saying, I think you can fly direct to Reykjavik from Seattle. You can. When I went to Dublin, we went via Reykjavik, but it was such a short
How many
trip.
hours is that trip?
It's just 6.
Really?
Because
you
fly
go
over the North Pole.
Wow.
Yeah, that's so a lot of folks from Seattle work in a Reykjavik stop and then book a few days around it. Iceland Air lets you do that without paying a penalty if you want to stay, but it was only a week trip when we went to Dublin, so there was no time. But should I come for Iceland Airwaves? Would you recommend it as a festival?
Yeah, I mean it starts getting cold at that point, but a music person like yourself would love it.
I would, yeah, it's fine. I could be inside, and I live in Seattle. It's like there's actually a little snow icon for the weather this morning, and I'm like, really? Are we getting snow? But it was, yeah, when I walked my dog last night, it was like 38 degrees Fahrenheit. It was cold. So we are at the top of the hour, though. Larry, it's been so great.
This was so much
Great to
fun,
finally
Larry. I'm
connect with
so
you.
excited for your
Thank you.
projects. It's just amazing. Thanks so much for spending time with us today.
Please keep
great.
us all posted as you launch and bring your
Yes.
business into reality, because we definitely want to hear about it. We want to hear who's going to have these BEET records. Yeah, you're doing good, putting good in the world and bringing it to life. Like, what a huge
Yeah,
accomplishment.
man, who knows? Maybe what we could do is time like a launch party with Airwaves so that you can. I mean, the record factory, by the way, is going to be closer to the airport, the international airport, than it is.
Okay.
Nice.
Are you going to give tours? I feel like that could be a
Yeah,
destination.
that's part of the business plan. Yeah.
Oh my
God.
That's so
So
exciting.
smart.
I think we have a November plan, Dana, for next
Yeah.
year.
I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. Thanks to everyone for all of your lively comments in the chat. As always, it was wonderful having you here, and best of luck starting your week after this long holiday weekend here in the US. I know
Yep.
I'm like, oh my God, trying to psych myself up for it.
Larry,
Thanks.
thank
And
you so much.
thanks also for publishing my pieces.
Oh my gosh, of course, of course. Yeah, if you want to, yeah, we should talk about having you write a piece for Gen XC once you launch your, we would
Okay.
love to hear more about thermal beats. That's
Okay.
For sure.
super cool. Take care, everybody. Love
Thanks,
you, mean it.
everybody.
Bye.
Love you, mean it.
Bye.
Bye. Mwah. Mwah.